Hello, my name's Andrew, and I'm reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This is Chapter 5, Advice from a Caterpillar. At last, the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth and addressed Alice in a languid, sleepy voice. "Who are you?" said the caterpillar. "Alice," replied rather shyly. I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least, I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then." "What do you mean by that?" said the caterpillar sternly. "Explain yourself." "Oh, I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir," said Alice, "because I'm not myself. You see, being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing." She drew herself up and said very gravely, "I think you ought to tell me who you are first." "Why?" said the caterpillar. As Alice could not think of any good reason, and the caterpillar seemed to be in a very unpleasant state of mind, she turned away. "Come back," the caterpillar called after her. "I've something important to say." Alice turned and came back again. "Keep your temper," said the caterpillar. "Is that all?" said Alice, swallowing down her anger as well as she could. "No," said the caterpillar. It unfolded its arms, took the hookah out of its mouth again, and said, "So you think you're changed, do you?" "I'm afraid I am, sir," said Alice. "I can't remember things as I used, and I don't keep the same size for 10 minutes together." "What size do you want to be?" asked the caterpillar. "Oh, I'm not particular as to size," Alice hastily replied. "Only one doesn't like changing so often, you know. I should like to be a little larger, sir, if you wouldn't mind," said Alice. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be." "It is a very good height indeed," said the caterpillar angrily, rearing itself upright as it spoke. It was exactly 3 inches high. In a minute or two, the caterpillar got down off the mushroom and crawled away into the grass, merely remarking as it went, "One side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter." "One side of what? The other side of what?" thought Alice to herself. "Of the mushroom," said the caterpillar, just as if she had asked it aloud, and in another moment it was out of sight. Alice remained looking thoughtfully at the mushroom for a minute, trying to make out which were the two sides of it. At last she stretched out her arms round it as far as they could go and broke off a bit at the edge with each hand. "And now which is which?" she said to herself, and nibbled a little of the right hand bit to try the effect. Well, the next moment she felt a violent blow underneath her chin. It struck her foot. She was a good deal frightened by this very sudden change, and she was shrinking rapidly, so she set to work at once to eat some of the other bit. Her chin was pressed so closely to her foot that there was hardly enough room to open her mouth. But she did at last, and managed to swallow a morsel of the left-hand bit. "Oh, come, my head's free at last," said Alice. But all she could see when she looked down was an immense length of neck, which seemed to rise like a stalk out of the sea of green leaves that lay far beneath her. "Oh, where have my shoulders got to? And oh, my poor hands, how is it that I can't see you?" She was delighted to find that her neck would bend about easily in just any direction, like a serpent. She had just zigzagged in curving it down into a graceful. She had just succeeded in curving it down to a graceful zigzag, and she was going to dive in among the leaves when a sharp hiss made her draw back in a hurry. A large pigeon had flown into her face and was beating her violently with its wings. "Serpent!" cried the pigeon. "I'm not a serpent," said Alice indignantly. "Let me alone." "I've tried the roots of trees, and I've tried banks, and I've tried hedges," the pigeon went on. "But those serpents, there's no pleasing them." Alice was more and more puzzled. "As if it wasn't trouble enough hatching the eggs," said the pigeon, "but I must be on the lookout for serpents night and day. And just as I'd taken the highest tree in the wood, continued the pigeon, raising its voice to a shriek. "And just as I was thinking I should be near them at last, they must needs come wriggling down from the sky! A serpent!" "But I'm not a serpent, I tell you," said Alice. I'm a little girl," she added rather doubtfully, as she remembered the number of changes she had gone through that day. "You're looking for eggs, I know that well enough," said the pigeon. "And what does it matter to me whether you're a little girl or a serpent?" "Oh, it matters a good deal to me," said Alice hastily, "but I'm not looking for eggs, as it happens, and if I was, I shouldn't want yours. I don't like them raw." "Well, be off then," said the pigeon in a sulky tone as it settled down again into its nest. Alice crouched down among the trees as well as she could, for her neck kept getting entangled among the branches, and every now and then she had to stop and untwist it. After a while she remembered that she still held pieces of the mushroom in her hands, and she set to work very carefully, nibbling first at one and then at the other, and growing sometimes taller and sometimes shorter until she had succeeded in bringing herself down to her usual height. It was so long since she had been anything near the right size that it felt quite strange at first. The next thing is to get into that beautiful garden. Is how that to be done, I wonder? As she said this, she came suddenly upon an open place with a large house in front, about 4 feet high. "Whoever lives here?" thought Alice. "It'll never do to come upon them this size. Why, I shouldn't frighten them out of their wits." She did not venture to go near the house till she had brought herself down to 9 inches high. End of chapter. Shall we have another chapter, I think? Yeah, it's only a short one. Chapter 6, Pig and Pepper. For a minute or two, she stood looking at the house, when suddenly a footman in livery came running out of the wood. Judging by his face only, she would have called him a fish, and rapped loudly at the door with his knuckles. It was opened by another footman in livery, with a round face and large eyes like a frog. The fish footman began by producing from under his arm a great letter, and this he handed over to the other, saying in a solemn voice, "For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet." The frog footman repeated in the same solemn tone, "From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet." Then they both bowed low, and their curls got entangled together. When Alice next peeped out, the fish footman was gone, and the other was sitting on the ground near the door, staring stupidly up into the sky. Alice went timidly up to the door and knocked. There's no sort of use in knocking," said the footman, "and that for 2 reasons. First, because I am on the same side of the door as you are. Secondly, because they're making such a noise inside, no one could possibly hear you." And certainly there was a most extraordinary noise going on within, a constant howling and sneezing, and every now and then a great crash as if a dish or a kettle had been broken to pieces. "How am I to get in?" asked Alice. "Are you to get in at all?" said the footman. "That's the first question, you know." Alice opened the door and went in. The door led right into a large kitchen, which was full of smoke from one end to the other. The Duchess was sitting on a 3-legged stool in the middle, nursing a baby. The cook was leaning over the fire, stirring a large cauldron which seemed to be full of soup. "Certainly too much pepper in that soup," Alice said to herself, as well as she could for sneezing. Even the Duchess sneezed occasionally, and as for the baby, it was sneezing and howling alternately without a moment's pause. The only 2 creatures in the kitchen that did not sneeze were the cook and a large cat, which was grinning from ear to ear. "Please, would you tell me," said Alice, a little timidly, "why your cat grins like that?" "It's a Cheshire cat," said the Duchess, "and that's why." "I didn't know that Cheshire cats always grinned. In fact, I didn't know that cats could grin," said Alice. "You don't know very much," said the Duchess, "and that's a fact." Just then the cook took the cauldron of soup off the fire and at once set to work throwing everything within her reach at the Duchess and the baby. The fire irons came first, then followed a shower of saucepans, plates and dishes. The Duchess took no notice of them, even when they hit her, and the baby was howling so much that it was quite impossible to say whether the blows hurt or not. "Oh, please mind what you're doing," cried Alice, jumping up and down in agony of terror. "Here, you may nurse it a bit if you like," the Duchess said to Alice, flinging the baby at her as she spoke. "I must go and get ready to play croquet with the Queen," and she hurried out of the room. Alice caught the baby with some difficulty, as it was a queer-shaped little creature and held out its arms and legs in all directions. "If they don't take this child away with me," thought Alice, "they're sure to kill it if I don't take this child away with me," thought Alice, "they're sure to kill it in a day or two. Wouldn't it be murder to leave it behind?" She said the last words out loud, and the little thing grunted in reply. "If you're going to turn into a pig, my dear," said Alice, "I'll have nothing more to do with you. Mind now." Alice was just beginning to think to herself, "Now, what am I to do with this creature when I get home?" when it grunted again so violently that Alice looked down into its face in some alarm. This time there could be no mistake about it. It was neither more nor less than a pig. So she set the little creature down and felt quite relieved to see it trot away quietly into the wood. Alice was a little startled by seeing the Cheshire Cat sitting on a bough of a tree a few yards off. The cat only grinned when it saw her. "Cheshire Puss," began Alice, rather timidly, "would you please tell me which way I ought to go from here?" "In that direction," the cat said, waving the right paw around, "lives a hatter, and in that direction," waving the other paw, "lives a March hare. Visit either if you like. They're both mad." "But I don't want to go among mad people," remarked Alice. "Oh, you can't help that," said the cat. "We're all mad here. Do you play croquet with the Queen today?" "I should like it very much," said Alice, "but I haven't been invited yet." "You'll see me there," said the cat, and vanished. Alice had not gone much further before she came in sight of the house of the March Hare. It was so large a house that she did not like to go till she had nibbled some more of the left-hand bit of mushroom. End of that chapter as well. That was good, wasn't it? I like the Cheshire Cat. I like the Cheshire. Don't like the pigeon very much, and the caterpillar seems a bit weird, but I like the Cheshire Cat. Alright, thank you for watching. I'll put up the next chapter or two on my YouTube soon. Don't forget to subscribe to me there if you can do, and give me a like as well on this chapter. Just tap onto the little thumbs up. That'd be lovely. Thank you for watching. See you next time, everyone. Bye bye.